Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Microsoft PowerPoint for Beginners. Before we get going with today's event, I'll take care of some housekeeping, do the land acknowledgement, and tell you about our upcoming Microsoft Office workshops. So if you can hear me and see the slide on the screen, then you're good to go. However, if you're having trouble hearing me or seeing the slide on the screen, do let me know in the chat and I will do my best to assist. If you'd like to listen to this presentation on the phone, you can do that by calling 1-669-900-6833 and using the access code 869-4982-4780 and the passcode 123123. Additionally, automated closed captioning is available on Zoom in case you'd like to read along with the presentation. To enable that, you would press the little CC button in your Zoom window. Now, you may have noticed that mics and videos for attendees of the program have been disabled, and that is so that everyone can focus on our presenter for the day. We do, however, welcome your questions and comments. Questions should go into the Q&A box. That's the one with the single speech bubble. And comments can go in the chat. That's the one with the little two speech bubbles. I'd also like to note that this class is being recorded and you will receive a copy of the YouTube link in a follow-up email. And one other thing that I'd like to note is that because we're releasing this video on YouTube, you don't have to worry about following along with the class in your own Microsoft PowerPoint window as our presenter is teaching it. Doing that is very difficult because you may miss something. We can't go back since we're live, but when you're watching it on the YouTube recording, you can make it slow, you can make it fast, you can rewind, you can fast forward as you need. So for this class, just relax, enjoy the session, follow along and learn about Microsoft PowerPoint for Beginners. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is our land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Kizh, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, the Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Kizh Nation, the Yuhaviatam of San Manuel Nation, San Fernando Band of Mission Indians, Coastal Band of Chumash Nation, the Gabrielino Tongva Nation, and the Gabrielino Tongva Tribe. To learn more about the First Peoples of Los Angeles County, please visit the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission website at lanic.lacounty.gov. All right. And before we move on to the presentation, I'd just like to let you know what we have coming up next in our series of Microsoft Office workshops. and that is Microsoft PowerPoint for intermediate users. This will be our final program of the year for our Microsoft Office workshops. That's going to be on Wednesday, December 17th at 11 o'clock, 1 week from right now. It's going to be Microsoft PowerPoint for intermediate users. And just like with this program, we're going to teach you practical applications of Microsoft PowerPoint for folks who have already started using the program and want to boost their skills. You can sign up for that right now. I just posted the registration link in the chat. And of course, it is free, just like all of our LA County Library programs. And if you're interested in learning more about LA County Library programs, you can go to our website at lacountylibrary.org and click on the events button right in the middle of the menu. Scroll down to virtual programs. You can click that, just get our Zoom events, also for all ages and free. And if you're interested in all of the programs, hit that events drop down, go to events calendar, and you can see all the programs at all of our locations. And we will absolutely welcome you at all of them. All right, and now it is time to get going with Microsoft PowerPoint for beginners. And our presenter today is Veronica Vargas. Veronica is part of our literacy team here in our Adult and Digital Services unit. And today they are going to be teaching you about PowerPoint. Veronica, the stage is yours.
Hello. Thank you for the presentation, Oleg. So today, like you said, I'm going to be going over 3 projects using Microsoft PowerPoint for beginners. So a PowerPoint presentation consists of one or more slides that can contain text, graphic, animation, videos, as well as other useful data. And for today's demonstration, I'm going to be covering tips on how to make a short form of presentation, how to make a photo slideshow, and finally, how to build a simple deck of flashcards for studying using PowerPoint. So let me go ahead and share my screen and turn off video. Okay. And then so uh so there's multiple ways that you can work with each project. And for today, I'm going to be going over some basic ways that you can generate each project in a simple and hopefully easy to follow format. Before I begin going over the steps on how to generate a PowerPoint presentation, going to be slowly browsing through a PowerPoint presentation that I have previously made. I do want to emphasize that this is not the actual presentation mode. This is just how your screen will look like when you have the PowerPoint application open. So with a PowerPoint presentation, there are certain guidelines, which are called the 555 rule. These rules are used to help keep the slides concise and engaging. So the first rule is that each slide should consist of no more than 5 words per line. Our goal is to write short and impactful phrases instead of full sentences. We want to create memory joggers to trigger your spoken points. Number 2 is no more than 5 lines per slide, which means that we should try and limit the amount of text we put on each slide to prevent the audience from being forced to choose between listening to you speak versus reading what is on the screen. And finally, number 3, to have no more than 5 text-heavy slides in a row. While it doesn't apply to every slide, it is still a good practice to avoid having too many consecutive slides with a lot of text, since our goal is to mix visual slides with images, graphics, or charts so that we can break up the text-heavy slides and maintain engagement. So following these steps will allow the audience to stay focused and encourage a natural flow, as well as promote visual storytelling. So this is what a basic presentation looks like. But before I keep going with this presentation, I do want to quickly demonstrate a cool shortcut that you can use, which is the F5 key, which is located at the top of our keyboard. When we hit that key, it will automatically launch us into presentation mode. So let me go ahead and do that. Sorry, that's the wrong view. Uh, Sorry about that. That's the wrong view. But yeah, that's just the presentation mode. So I will display a little bit later. I had the wrong setting up. But to get out of the presentation mode, you can also simply hit the escape button at the top right corner of your keyboard, and that will take us out of presentation mode as well. So now I want to quickly go over a few things that you need to know when you are working with your PowerPoint presentation. So the first and most important function within this application is the ribbon toolbar, which is the area up here. Uh, Before I go on, I do want to mention that you are going to be provided with the list of Microsoft key shortcuts. The first few pages are taken directly from the Microsoft Help page, and it contains key shortcuts that will allow you to work with PowerPoint. And this document is going to be emailed to you a day or so after the presentation ends. So one of the easiest shortcuts that I like to use is a Control C button, which is a shortcut command that when hit will undo any action that we've done. Another option to do this is we can use the quick access toolbar, which is the area up here. So you can also use this left arrow to undo. Another shortcut is the Control plus the Y key, and this will redo any action. And then you can also do it with this arrow right here. Since we haven't done anything, they're not activated at the moment, but I will demonstrate that further down the line. So if at any point during the presentation, if for any reason you see things that are appearing or disappearing, it could be that I'm using those shortcut keys. So each word in the ribbon toolbar is called a tab, and each tab has a separate set of tools and functions that are specific to the individual tabs. Each subsection within the area is called a group, and each group is divided by sections. So you can see the little lines right there. All the icons within each section will provide you with a variety of options that you can use to customize your slides. So in addition to the tabs that are currently being displayed, there are some extra tabs that can generate with specific functions. For instance, if I was to click on an image on one of my slides, as you can see on the ribbon toolbar, we now have a new word that popped out, which is our picture format icon. This tab will only be activated when we have an image selected. So if we were to click outside of it, it disappears. Another important feature with the PowerPoint is the slides pane, which is the area located to the left hand side of the screen, which is the area down in this area. So from here, actually, no, I'm sorry, this is the area I'm talking about. It's the slides pane, left-hand side of the screen. So from here, you can view the small thumbnail icon display of what your slides look like. So within this section, you can easily navigate to other slides. For example, instead of having to manually go to each individual slide, you can use the scroll bar to go down, and you can automatically jump down to, like, let's say slide 14 instead of having to manually scroll through each one to find the slide that you want to start working with. Okay, so now I want to go over a few icons that are another few icons that are also useful with working with PowerPoint. So if you look to the right bottom right corner of your screen, this area right here is called the view area. So the first icon is our notes page, our notes pane, and this area is dedicated space beneath the main slide where you can add notes, important facts, or even private reminders that can be viewed by the presenter when you are in presentation mode. This field can be hidden by simply clicking on the Notes button in the status bar at the bottom of the PowerPoint window. The second icon is called our normal view icon, and this icon can alternate between what we're seeing right now, which is our default view. And when we click on it, it can switch between how our slides are displayed. So if I click on it, it will toggle between adding the notes field automatically. And then if I click on it again, it will also give you a overview of what your slides consist of, the information, and also gives you the slides number. And this is really good to just seeing an outline of what you have inside of your slides. So the next one is our slide sorter view, which is the one right here. When we select this icon, we can now see a visual overview of what all of our slides consist of. It's a series of small thumbnails, and this area is the best place to use when you are reorganizing the slides. And you can simply do this by clicking on the slide that you want to move and dragging it around to whatever else positioning that you want. So this viewpoint is also very good to use when you are adding animations or transitions, but we're not going to be covering this topic because this is more advanced. And finally, the next one is our reading view panel, which is a little icon that looks like an open book, the area one right here. So when we click on this icon, you can preview as well as navigate the presentation within an enlarged window view, and it's less distracting since the ribbon toolbar is no longer present. From here, you are also able to test out any customizations that you implemented. So if I was to have animations on my slide, I would be able to view them from here. When you are in the reading view mode, you can also use the left and right arrows, which are the ones right here, to toggle between the slides. And then you can also use your mouse key by just clicking on the slides and it'll jump again. Another cool feature to use within the reading view mode is if you go back to the reading view section right here, if you click on it, it'll open a menu. And the one that I wanted to this demonstrate is our magnifying slide. So when we click on this tool, it's basically going to open like a square with the little mouse icon with the plus sign. This means that wherever we click on it, it's going to zoom into whatever image you had. So this was like if you're trying to focus on an area, this is good for doing that. And to get out of this viewpoint, the easiest thing you could do is either hit the escape button, or you can also, if you were in that view mode, uh, you just click it out again. Oh no, you have to hit escape to get out. Yeah, sorry about that. And then you also have the option to end the slideshow within the center panel. So to do this, we can click on the menu and we can select End Slideshow. End Show, and it's going to revert back to our original viewpoint. Okay, so now that we are back to our normal view, let's go back to our normal view. The last icon on here is called the slideshow view, which is the area right here. This will also launch us into the presentation screen mode. Um, okay, so before I go on, let me quickly show you an example of what not to do when we are working with bullet points. So if you look at my slides, I did this on purpose. So I generated 3 different slides. And as you can see, my bullet points are all different. Uh, this is a big no-no when you are working with PowerPoints. The best thing we have to do is keep everything the same bullet points. So the way that you can customize the bullet points is if we go to the home uh, icon on the ribbon toolbar, and then we're going to be working within the paragraph group setting. So I have to be on my slide to be able to activate it. So if you were to click on this area, now you can see that the functions are available. And if we go to the drop-down menu right here, this will give us a list of all the different bullet points. And if you were to select them, it'll change the viewpoint the way it is on there. Okay, so now when we are generating a PowerPoint presentation, you should try at minimum to have a title page, the table of contents, as well as a few slides that will be composed of your main body of work. And then it's also you to have a conclusion slide and if possible, a question and answer slide. This is also a good placeholder to use to linger when you're answering questions about the work once your presentation is complete. And you can also sometimes include it as a closing slide and add like a thank you for participating with the presentation. I didn't include one on mine, but now that I've explained some useful features for PowerPoint, let's begin working on our sample. So one cool shortcut that you can use to launch a new PowerPoint is if you already have a PowerPoint application open the way we do, is that we can simply use the Control plus the N key button, and this will essentially launch us into presentation mode. But I want to show you how we can do this, so let's go ahead and start by clicking on the File tab, and it's located in the top right corner of a ribbon bar. So when we are on this tab, this is basically how your screen would look like if you were to open PowerPoint from your icons or from the start menu, wherever you have your PowerPoint on. And from here, you can choose to either start a new presentation mode, a new icon to start a new presentation, or you can also use the blank presentation icon. Either one of these will launch us into a new presentation. You also have the option to choose the open function, and this will open a previously saved file. If you look at my recent tabs, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, right here, recent tabs, you can see a list of recent projects that I worked with, and it's also, you can see the last time that they were either accessed or modified. So now let's go ahead and select the blank presentation icon. You can either click on this to launch a new project, or you also have the option to use the right click button on your mouse over the blank presentation icon. When we do this, it'll generate a little menu called create icon, and we just hit that and that'll launch us into a new presentation mode. So as you can see, as soon as we start a new presentation, our first slide that is generated is called our title slide. So this slide is composed of 2 types of text placeholders. As you can see, we have the uh, 2 types of rectangular shapes with the dotted outer borderline. This area is specifically designed for holding text. There's also another type of placeholder that you can use to add different objects like pictures, icons, video clips, tables, or graphs, and I will elaborate further on this in one of the next slides. So the top placeholder in this area is where we would put the title of our presentation. So if you can see, when I position the mouse icon within the text placeholder box, you can see that our mouse icon will change into the I-beam icon. This means that we are ready to start typing. Well, actually, this means that we can click on the text placeholder. And once we click on there, you'll see the I-beam that starts popping up and down. This means that our text is ready to be inserted. And as soon as we click on there, you see that the text disappears. That means that we can start entering our words. So for this title, I'm going to use the title Monsters Fiction versus film. So one thing to remember is that you should try and capitalize each first letter of the word that you are using within this title slide. So now that I've entered my text, it does look a little bit dull, so I want to quickly demonstrate how we can adjust the font style, color, and size using the font grouping located within our home tab. So if this is the home tab, this is the font grouping area right here. So in order for any changes to occur within the font title is that we need to have them selected before we start typing our words. But as you can see, if I was to select bold, italicize, and underline, nothing is happening to my text because I did not preemptively select these typographical emphasis tools. So now if I wanted to add changes to my type text fonts, what we need to do is simply highlight the text and we'll be able to customize our font styles. So to do this, we just simply click and drag it along and that'll highlight our text. You'll see an outer gray box. That means our text is ready to have our changes. And now if we were to select the different emphasis tools, you'll see that it adds our features. So let's go ahead and revert back to our original text. So hitting the undo button will basically go back to it. But I did want to keep my my title bold. So another cool shortcut is the Control plus B button, and that will basically make our font bold again. And okay. So now that we've demonstrated how to use those functions, let me increase my text size. So to do this, we have a few options. So you can either manually select a number using the drop-down menu from here on the in the font group setting, and or you can also manually enter a number and the font will increase. Another way to do this is to use these little icons right here. So the A with the up arrow means that our text will increase, and the A with the down arrow means our text will decrease. And as you can see, I can only enlarge depending on how much space I have. So it won't enlarge past whatever areas in here. If I wanted to get the text bigger, longer, I would have to enlarge our box to be able to get the text font larger. So now I want to quickly cover the alignment group, which is under the paragraph group setting, which is these ones right here. So there's right alignment, center alignment, and left alignment. But for titles, usually the center alignment is the one that is best, uh, the best view. So let's go ahead and leave that there. And then I also want to change my font color. So to do this, we need to find the letter A icon within our font group setting. If we click on the drop-down menu, you can see a variety of options to choose from. These are all the theme colors, or you also have the option to generate your own color as well using more colors. But the one I want to use for today is purple. So finally, I also want to change my text font to Arial Rounded. So one thing to keep in mind when you're building your presentation is to use the same font type throughout the project. So let's go ahead and hit the drop down menu. You can also manually select through the fonts, but the one I wanted is Arial Rounded, so I could just start typing it and no, that's our font. Okay, so now for the subtitle section. So the subtitle section is usually the place where you can provide more detailed description of what the slide content will be. So when it comes to school projects or work presentations, this is the area where you can put your name, job title, and date. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put my name and today's date, which is December 10th. Okay, and there you go. And now I want to customize the thing a little bit. So I'm going to decrease the font and move it down a little bit. And now that's like there. Okay. So the next thing I want to add is icons. So to do this, we're going to go to our Insert tab and under the illustration group settings, which is the area right here, you can see an image of a bird with a little leaf. This is our icons button. If we click on it, the search option box will populate our screen and it'll give us many different styles of icons to choose from. We can manually browse through the various icons, but we also have the options to search for any specific icons using keywords. So I'm going to go ahead and put in monsters and enter. And then as you can see, we get a few different options to choose from. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one and this one. So once I've selected them, I have the insert menu that can be now selected. Once we do this, it will insert our icons onto our PowerPoint slide. So as you can see, if you were to attempt to add more than one icon at a time, they appear to be locked together. So if I try to move them, they're moving together. So simple solution to make them separate is to just click outside of it, and then now you can manually select each one and position them where you want to. Okay, and now I'm going to resize them. So to do this, you can select on the object. Once you select it, you can see 8 white dots. These are called sizing handles or resize handles. So the corner dots are the best ones to use when you're resizing an object because it allows you to resize the object proportionally. So you see, it doesn't get distorted. However, the top and bottom side dots can also be used to resize the object, but it won't be proportional. So like if I to stretch, it stretches it or it'll shrink it. So I don't like that one. That way I usually use the corner ones to resize the object. You can also use the replace your icon button that will generate when we click on an icon. This is the area right here. If we click on that, you can see that it says gives you different options to choose from. If we were to choose a different ones, it'll basically change our thing, or you can also put see all icons and it'll open the menu again where you can choose the different varieties to choose from. So, okay, so let's go ahead and hit cancel. You can also hit the Xbox and that will basically close out this menu because this is the one that we want to keep on here. And now let's start working on our next slide. So as you can see, when we are choosing our slides for the next slide, you can put new slide, but it also has a little drop-down menu that you can choose from. If we click on there, you can see the 9 different styles to choose from. The next slide that we're going to be using is the title and content slide. So this slide allows us to add both a title as well as the bottom content placeholder. This is the area I was mentioning with the icons in there. All these icons are the same ones that you can use if you were to go to the ribbon toolbar. This the placeholder is designed as a way where you do not have to go looking through the various tabs to find the tools you need to add the different objects onto your slides. So like for instance, this one is pictures. You can also do a table, video. But for this one, we want to go ahead and start typing our text. So for our title, we're going to put table of contents. So as you can see, the font didn't generate the color or the font type that I wanted to do. So let's go ahead and highlight font. And then when it's centered, bold, and there you go. And then also, once you've selected a type of font, if you go to the drop-down menu, it'll be under the recently used fonts if you don't remember which, the name of the font that you used. And you can easily find it from there. Okay. So now for the bottom placeholder, I'm going to go ahead and put a list on here. So regularly when you're going to be using a list, uh, one thing to consider is, no, I'm sorry. So regularly while um, the table of contents, I would be listing off everything that's going to be on my slideshow. Just to keep this brief, I'm just going to go ahead and type out author biographies and the monsters. So again, my text didn't take the changes. So another quick shortcut is that you can, uh, when inside of the text box field, select Control and A, and it'll highlight all of our text. And now we can simply change it to our font. Okay. So now let's go ahead and start making our next slide. So another way that you can insert a new slide is if you go to the Insert tab and under the New Slide drop-down menu, you also have the options to choose within the different slides. And it's the same as if you were going from the home menu. So the next one we're going to be using is our comparison slide. So typically this slide is good for making comparisons, but it can also be aesthetically appealing because it allows us to not only put our title, but we also have a subsection and where we can generate a title above each area. So for this one, my title, I'm going to go ahead and pre-select our font, color, and type. That way, as soon as I type it, it will generate the way I want it. So authors of famous monsters. Okay. So, and above both of the title placeholders, I'm going to go add the word authors. And on the other slide will be monsters. And also another shortcut that you can use to center the font is Control E, and that'll basically, as you can see on the paragraph grouping, if I do Control R, it jumps to this one. Control E will be centered, and Control F will do left alignment, but we want it centered. And font, and then start typing monsters. Okay, so for the authors, I'm going to go ahead and put Bram Stoker, Mary Shelley, and H.P. Lovecraft. And for the three monsters, I'm going to put Count Dracula, Frankenstein, and Herbert West. Okay, so let's go ahead and adjust our fonts again. This one, it won't be bolded, but I do want it to be type. Okay, just align it a little bit, and there you go. Okay, so next slide I'm going to be using is going to be the title only slide. And for this one, I want it to be kind of like an introduction to what my next body of content will be. So as you can see, when I generate this tile, it automatically puts our title section at the top of the screen, but we want it towards the middle. And let's go ahead and put the authors. And then for this font, I actually want to use a different font type. The one I want to use is called Viva Beautiful, but I need to enlarge it really big because it's a little hard to see when it's small. Let's go ahead and have to change. And center. There you go. Okay. So now the next slide I'm going to be using is the to content slide. So to content slide. So this one will allow me to add a title as well as just two different types of content within both placeholders. So for this one, I'm going to put the authors of monsters in fiction. And under the left box, I want to go ahead and add an image of Abraham Stoker, but I'm going to use the icons within the placeholder. So this one right here, when we briefly pass over the different icons, it gives you a little word description of what each icon will do. So the one we want to go is insert a picture. And this is just one of the ways that you can add images. There's other methods that you can use, and I'm going to explain that a little bit further down the line. So let's go ahead and go from here. And then from here, we go ahead and click the icon to insert a picture. Sorry, okay. And then we go from device. So as you can see, when we do this, it opens our search box field. So one thing to do is locate the folder that will contain the images that we want to insert. So it does help to know where you have your images stored because it makes adding them a lot simpler. So one thing is to know whether you have the images stored. That way, it makes finding them a lot easier. So I know that I have mine in my downloads folder, but I also have it as one of my recent menus. So I can just go, no, it didn't. Let's go downloads folder. And then from there, I'm looking for the folder that contains my images. So I was doing, I believe, this one. Yeah. So go ahead and select Abraham Stoker and insert. So as you can see, I want to quickly, okay. Okay, so let me quickly demonstrate a few ways that you can add changes to the images. So when we click on our image, we get the picture format icon that generates on top of the ribbon toolbar again. So if we go towards the center of the group setting, which is under picture styles, if you click on the drop-down menu, you can see a variety of quick styles to choose from. This is a series of different styles and preset shapes to add to your images. Like for example, the frame or oval shape, it will basically customize our image depending on which one you select. And I like the moderate flame black. Let's go ahead and choose that one. So now let me quickly enter some facts on my second placeholder. So remember the 555 rule, we're going to be using 5 facts in short statements. So first I'm going to put born on November 8, 1847. I spelled that wrong. Died April 20, 1947, also known as Bram Stoker. He was an Irish novelist and created Count Dracula. Okay, so now that I finished adding our facts, I actually want to add his name to the top of this placeholder. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this by using the top section to move it down. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is add a text box. So to do this, we go to our Insert tab on the ribbon toolbar. So under the text group setting on the left-hand side of the ribbon, there's a text box icon, which is this one right here. It's inside of the text grouping. When we select this, our mouse icon will change into what looks like a upside down T. And this means we're ready to start generating our text box. So to do this, we simply going to click on an area where we want our text box to be and just drag it across. And there's our text box. So let's go ahead and enter his name. Let's add our changes to the font. I didn't do this to this one. So let's go ahead and center that. And there you go. Okay. So before I go on, I also want to demonstrate a few other things that you can do with our images. So let's go ahead and click on our image again. So once we do that, the picture format tab will pop up again. So if we go under the picture format, the adjust group setting right here, we have a few icons to choose from. The first one I want to demonstrate is how you can change the color of our image. So you can choose between color saturation, color tone, or even recolor. The first thing I want to experiment with is changing the color. So I'm going to go ahead and make our picture purple. And now we can also do the artist effects. So if we do this one, this will usually transform your image and it can make it resemble a drawing, a painting, as well as other artistic styles to choose from. And finally, the transparency setting will allow us to control the opacity of the image. And you can also uh, choose between how light or dark you want the image. So you can also choose the change the image by using the second icon next to the artistic effects, which is the area right here. And this is a change your icon button. This will give you a drop down menu, and then you can manually go looking for whatever image you want to replace this with. You also have the option to undo any of the changes that we made to the picture by using the reset picture icon. and that'll revert back to any changes that we've done. So it'll basically revert it back to how when we had initially inserted the image. But that was too far, so let's just go ahead and it's fine like that. Okay. Uh, so now I want to quickly demonstrate a different way that you can add an image using the drag and drop style. Since I already had my folder open to the, let me go ahead and open the folder. I'm gonna go to our downloads folder, find our folder, and we're gonna use, so sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't know where my folder was. So as you can see, my list of icons, the way that the images are displayed, you can't see what they are. You just see a series of names. I was going to explain this earlier, but I didn't have my settings set. But what you can do to change this is if we do the right click of our mouse, if you change the view setting and you go to extra large icons, it'll basically make them large. That way you can see which image you're trying to use, but there's no area to drag it and drop it in because of how big our folder is. So we can use is our restore down button, which is the area right here. That will basically shrink our folder, and now we can go ahead and choose the image that we're going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one, and when I have it selected, you can see a gray outer box around the image. And to add it to our image, our slides, you're simply going to click on it, and you'll see like a little ghost outer area. And then if you put it over the slides, you see the little plus sign with the drop down menu mouse, and once you insert it over the PowerPoint, the image will be added to your slide. So now, as you can see, the image is a little bit large as well. There's a lot of extra spacing around it. So what I want to demonstrate is how you can adjust the size. So when we are under the picture format icon, if you look on the sizing grouping right here, you have the option to either manually shrink the image, and it'll proportionally shrink it by the length and width. And you also can enter a number. So let's say I want it to be 5. It'll automatically scale it down proportionally. You can also use the crop setting. So this one's the crop setting right here. So there's various crops that you can use, but if we just select the crop, you'll see that uh, black outer boxes are going to show up around our image. So to crop out the image, you can simply use the black markings and it'll crop out to wherever area you want. You have to make sure that you're selecting only the black area brackets because if you were to select the white dots, it'll distort the image. So let's go ahead and you can see a little bracket right there. And when we click on it, this dark area is going to be cropped out once we unselect the image. And there's also another uh, crop that I like, which is the crop to shape. So if you go to crop to shape, you have different shapes to choose from. I like how it looks when I do an oval cropping, and you can shrink it down a little bit more and position it there. Okay. So now that we finished adding images, I want to add some color to our background. To do this, we're simply going to go to our first slide, and then we're going to go ahead and click with our right button under the drop-down menu. You can see various features, and the one we're looking for is the format background. So when we choose that, we're going to get our format background menu that pops to the right of our screen. And you can choose between adding a color. Now let's say we want right here, the color right here. Let's say I want it to be black. Fortunately, if I do black, it will make my icons disappear because of the color. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. When selecting a color, you may need to make sure that the font is visible and that it's not making your objects disappear because you don't want the viewer eyesight to be strained and you want your text to be legible. So you can also adjust the transparency by going to this one right here. So if we click on the little menu, you can see the different percentages. So like if we go to 50, it starts turning gray. And like, let's say we were to hit 100%, it reverts back to white. So you also have the option to choose between gradient fill. So if you go under gradient fill, this is a visual effect that will create a smooth, gradual blend between two or more colors. You can control different aspects using the buttons right here. There's also the picture or texture fill icon, and this will give you different images to choose from. You can select right here different styles. That one's good. And then as you can see, only my first title slide took the background changes, but what you can do is apply to all. And then all of our slides will now have the formatting of the backgrounds. And then I quickly want to demonstrate how you can reorder them using the slide sorter view. This one. And you can just simply drag them around. And then finally, I'm going to go over how to play the presentation. This is just a quick demonstration. So if we go to the slideshow tab, and you can choose between, if you want to choose from current slide, it'll start from that slide. But you can also choose from beginning. And even if you're on slide 5, if you put from beginning, it'll jump to the beginning of your presentation and you can start going from there. Okay. So now, and once you're in presentation mode, the easiest way to get out is put escape. Okay. So now I'm going to go over how to make a photo slideshow. So this presentation that I just demonstrated was just one of the ways that you can use PowerPoint, but there's also other cool things you can do, like for example, making the photo slideshow. So PowerPoint has a very, let me go ahead and open my photo slideshow. Okay. So PowerPoint has an easy, very simple and easy way to add images in one swift mood. But before I do that, I do want to demonstrate a few different options that I didn't previously generate. So I didn't cover how to add images this way. So if we go to the drop-down menu of the pictures icon under Insert, we can choose between different options. We have this device, stock images, or online pictures. So if we select stock images, a pop-up menu with a variety of different images that are associated with Microsoft 365 will be displayed. And now let's go ahead and close this out and demonstrate how online pictures look. And when you select online pictures, you get also a wider selection of images to choose from. And these are powered by Bing. This means that the search technology and algorithms used to retrieve the search results are part of Microsoft products and services. So let me go ahead and type the word Axolotl and hit enter. And as you can see, it generates a series of pictures, but I already had my pictures pre-saved. So we can simply get out of this box by hitting either the X or cancel, and this will close out this box. So now let's start working on our photo slideshow. So let's go ahead and launch a new project by going to our File tab ribbon, and we're going to go ahead and select just new presentation. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go to the Home tab setting within the Home, and under the Slides group setting, and we're going to select the slide layout icon, this area right here. It will give us the option to choose from. That's similar to the other ones before. So what we can do is go to the blank tile layout. This will give us a blank canvas to work with. So if we go to the Insert tab, if we click on the Pictures drop-down menu, and we go to Insert Pictures From, and we can select from this device. This will give us the option to go back to our images. So when we do this, it's going to basically open the last folder that we opened our pictures from, but that's not the ones that we're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and go find the folder that had my pictures that I'm going to be working with, and they were in my downloads folder. So you can use the menu scroll bar to scroll between the different folders and downloads. And I know they're in here. And sorry, wrong images for file. So as you can see, the settings, once I change the settings on one of my previous folders, it'll customize the same settings on this one. So let's go ahead and insert our first image, which is the axolotl. So when we do this, the images is a little bit big. And well, yeah, we can we can adjust the size accordingly. We're going to have to do this manually to each image as well as positioning where we want. And then we also, now that I'm looking at the slide, I also wanted to add a title to my slide. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to insert home. And we'll do, which one was it? Title and content. As you can see, it's a lot more work to have to do this when you're generating this. So that's why I want to demonstrate another way that you can add the images using a picture photo album. Um, okay, so let me quickly demonstrate the way that you can do this. So if we go to the Insert tab under the Images group setting, if we select the photo album drop-down menu, the icon, we get the option to choose new photo album. So when we do this, we're going to get the photo album search field box that's going to appear in the middle of our screen. And what we can do is select the file disk icon, and this will open the insert pictures from menu. This will give us the option to choose where we want to select our pictures from. And from here, you can either search the image that you're looking for by entering the name on the search field, but this would only locate what's within this folder. But you can also choose by selecting all the images, or you can do Control A and it'll select everything and then just hit insert. When we do that, it's going to add all the images we had inside of our folder inside this little menu called Pictures and Album. So it has all of the ones that were inside of our folder. Uh, So once we have all the images selected, pictures. And let's say that I'm not happy with the order that the pictures generated inside of our pictures of albums. What you can do is reposition that the way they're going to be generated. So what we can do is click, like, let's say I want to put the Indian Flying Fox to the top. Once I select it, you'll see the blue highlighting as well as the check marks. That means that anything that I do will only be applicable to this one. And you can just use the up arrow, and let's say I want it to be number 3, and this is the number of the slides, the order of the slides that they're going to be positioned in. Okay, so now you also have the options to delete any images that you no longer want to use. So let's say I no longer want that one or the field shark. But if I was to hit remove, since I still had the Indian Flying Fox selected, if it would automatically delete that one as well. So you need to make sure that you're only selecting the ones that you want to remove from there. And when we hit remove, it disappears from there. So those pictures are no longer there and they won't generate in our slides once we finish adding our customizations. So if you look to the right of the menu box, you can see a preview of what each image will look like. And you can just click on the different uh, names and you'll get a little preview of what each image is. You also have different picture options that you can choose from. So there's two areas, the captions below all pictures and all pictures black and white. So as you can see, the captions below all pictures is not a function that's available, and this is because the images that I have are very large. So unfortunately, due to the spatial capabilities of the slideshow, it doesn't allow me to use that feature at the moment. But what we can do is I'm going to show you how you can do a few adjustments, and this will allow us to use this feature. So if we go to the bottom right here, where is the album layout, this is the way we can customize the different things within our photo album. So if we go to the drop-down menu, we can choose from the different ones, which is fit to slide, one picture, two pictures, one picture with title. So as you can see, there's a little preview right here. It'll show you what selections you're putting. And like let's say it was two pictures, it would generate two pictures per slide. And as you can see, since it's two pictures per slide, it basically decreased the size of our images. So now I do have the options to put captions below all pictures. I will demonstrate how this looks a little bit down the line, but the one I want is to do a picture with the title. That way it'll be generated without having to do extra work. And let's see. We also have the frame shape. This will have 7 different options to choose from. You can choose rounded rectangle, and it basically will add customizations to whatever image you're going to be inserting. And then for this project, I'm going to choose one picture with title. And then for themes, there's different themes that you can choose from. This is just Microsoft comes with some pre-generated themes. I'm not going to be covering this feature because unfortunately, once I select a different theme, I haven't been able to figure out how to revert back to how I wanted my album to look like. But you can mess with the different themes on your own time. And now that I finished explaining the different features within our album, I want to demonstrate how it would generate our slides. So let's go ahead and put create. So it will automatically import all of our slides with different sections for adding our title. So all we can do, as, as you can see, it distributes all my images to the individual slides and it adds an area for the title. And now the next thing we need to do is add the titles to our slides, which would be, and you could just start customizing your slide as you like. And this is just a quick demonstration of how the photo slideshow would be. And let me quickly demonstrate how it would look like if we were to have selected the captions below all pictures. So any changes you do to the album can be changed at any point. So what we can do is go back to the insert photo album. If we go to edit photo album, we can do different changes. So let's say we wanted to do just one picture, take off our titles, and we're gonna make it rounded rectangle and caption below all pictures. So once I hit update, it will change the style of my slides. So you can now see that there's no longer a title section, and on the bottom it has a caption to each image. As you can see, it will basically generate the caption with whatever you have the file name. So you can also modify by clicking on the little area and change what you want it to be displayed on here. And this is what a photo slideshow would look like. So as you can see, once you generate a photo album, it will automatically generate the first slide as photo album. But what we can do is change the title. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to Nightmare Animals. And then I also want to change my font style. So I'm going to go ahead and go home. It didn't take. Whatever. Okay. And then as you can see, it automatically generated by Veronica Vargas. This is because I'm logged into my Microsoft Office and PowerPoint recognizes that I am the creator. So when you're logged into your Microsoft Office, it will automatically generate whatever your username as the creator of the project, but you can also edit that out clicking on there. And this is our quick picture album. Okay, so now I am going to go ahead and close this out and I want to pull up a demonstration that I've previously generated, which is how to build a deck of flashcards for studying. So I'm going to save these. Let's go ahead and close these out. And, okay. So before I start demonstrating how you can generate the flashcards, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you gathered all your materials that you're going to be using to generate the flashcards, whether it be definitions, key terms, or whatever else you're going to be studying. One important thing to keep in mind is that you need to make sure that you have the correct responses prior to generating the flashcards. It is also best practice to keep the font style similar throughout all the slides, as well as to try and keep the size of the font as consistent as possible. This way, your eyes will get adjusted to reading the prompts and not get distracted by too many things happening on the screen. So as you can see on my slides pane, it looks like I only have a bunch of green slides with white words on them and nothing else. But similar to using an index card as a flashcard, the front side would be our question slide and the back slide would be the answers. So let's go ahead and launch our PowerPoint into the presentation mode so that I can demonstrate how the flashcards work. So go slideshow from beginning. And as you can see, I can use the mouse or the left and right hand directional keys to transition between the slides. When I click on my mouse, it's going to basically jump from my green card, which is our front one, the atom. And when I click on it, it will collapse our shape. And when I click on it again, it will do another shape, which is our answer key. And this is the blue card, and this will display our definition, which is the basic unit of a chemical element. And then we just click to demonstrate a few other cards that I had already generated. So to reiterate, the green slides are going to represent our question cards, and our blue cards will be our definition cards. So let's go ahead and get out of here and jump into a new project. Control. Yeah. Okay. So before I go on, I also want to quickly demonstrate an easy way to reuse slides from a previous presentation. The main benefit of this feature is to save significant time and effort by letting you easily find, preview, and insert slides from other presentations directly into your current one without the need to open a separate file, having to manually copy paste items, and to reduce potential for errors. So to do this, we need to go to our Insert tab on the ribbon toolbar under the Slides group setting right here. And we select the new slide icon, which is located beneath the File tab. We need to click on the drop-down menu, and we're going to go ahead and select Reuse Slides. This will launch our Reuse Slide window panel to the right of the application. And if we go under the Browse icon, which is underneath the Insert Slide from, to launch our Browse window, uh, this will open what files we had previously saved. So let's go to my Downloads folder. And I'm going to go ahead and find the PowerPoint I'm going to be using to import the slides from. And this one. And once I click on my title, it'll be gray selected. And as you can see, the file name will be on here. And click open, and that'll give you all the different slides that I'm going to import. So once we do this to insert them into our project, all we need to do is simply click on each slide, and it will automatically import them into our new presentation. And you need to manually select each one you want to do. So if you were to click it more than once, it'll add it each time. So to get out of here, we just click the X button, and we're going to go ahead and delete the last slide, which was a duplicate. Okay, so now that we've inserted our slides, um, as you can see, the first slide is the black one, and this is the slide I'm going to be using to work to demonstrate how to generate the flashcards. So the first thing I need to do is change the slide layout. So we're going to go back to the home icon, and then within the ribbon toolbar, under the slides group drop down menu, I'm going to go ahead and select the layout for blank tile. That way we have a full canvas to work within. So we're going to be using the shapes icon to generate the flashcards. So if we go under the Insert tab, under the Illustration Group Settings, which is the area right here, you can see the shapes icon, which is the little blue square with the black circle in front of it. And if we click on the drop-down menu, we'll see that there's various shapes to choose from. The one we're going to be using for this project is the rectangle shape. So let's go ahead and select our rectangle shape. Once we do that, you're going to see that our icon is now a little small black plus sign. This means we're ready to start generating our first shape. So to do this, we need to just click on one corner of the slide and drag it across diagonally until we have generated our first rectangle shape. So we're going to be needing two shapes. So as you can recall, uh, we need two shapes per slide so we can have our front and back end. So let's go ahead and quickly show how you can duplicate a slide. So to do this, if we are clicking on our initial shape, if we select the control button, it will basically change the way our um, mouse looks, and it will be a mouse with a square and a plus sign. That means our shape duplication is ready to be done. So what we can do is just simply click on it and drag it to the left, to the right of the screen, and that's our duplicated shape. And now that we have our two objects, we can begin entering our text into our first shape. So to do this, we just simply double click on the center of the shape. Once you see the I-beam icon appear, that means we can start typing our word. So this shape, I'm going to go ahead and put the word organism. Now that we've entered our text, the font doesn't match my other cards, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight the text and change the font to home. And I believe I used Arial Black for my initial. Okay. And now let's go ahead and make the font a little bit bigger. So one thing to keep in mind is that you want the text font size to be the text to be the same throughout each card, as well as also try to keep the size similar to each proportional to each slide. That way you'll see that. And now that we enter our text, let's go ahead and put our definition on our second shape. So we're going to put a living thing that has organized structure. So that's our definition for this slide. Now that we've generated both of our cards, we need to start changing the background color. So let's first do the font. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is, since our first card was supposed to be our question card, that one was supposed to be green, let's go ahead and adjust the color of our first slide. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And to change the color, we're going to go under shape format and under shape fill icon right here. You can click down and it'll give us a different options to choose from. And we're going to go ahead and select uh, green for our slides. And that's not the right green. Okay, there you go. And now let's add an animation to our shape. So now that we've made our front card green, we can go to the animations tab. And as you can see, there's different animations to choose from. And if we go to the drop-down menu, it'll give us a bunch of options to choose between. And the one we're going to be using is the exit effect, because we want our first shape to collapse when we are going to our next shape. So we're going to go to the more exit effects. And then if we go under, we're going to look for the collapse shape under moderate. And as you can see, once I select it, it gives me a little preview. I have preview effect selected, so that'll give you the preview of what it is. You put OK. Once you do that, you're going to see that the little number comes out with it. That means that that shape has a animation. And now let's go ahead and add our animation to our second slide. So we click on the object and go to drop down menu. So for this one, we want our shape to expand when we click on it. So we're going to go to more interest effects and we're going to look for the expand under subtle. And as you can see, it basically grows from the inside out. And we put OK. So now you can see on number 2, that means our shapes both have animations. So now that we've added our animations, what we're gonna do is enlarge our shape to basically fill the full screen. So just go ahead and click and drag it. That's also one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is the shape has to be, the font size has to be proportional. So we're going to have to enlarge it again just so that it's big. Too big. Okay. And now that we've done that, let's go ahead and enlarge our second shape as well. So we're going to go ahead and match it to the slide and drag it across. Same thing with the font. We're going to go ahead and increase the size. Okay, and now that we've made the slides big, now what we need to do is send this shape backwards because we want our green card to be the first one displayed. So if we click on our card, if we go under shape format, under the arrange group setting, which is the area right here, you can select different background sections to choose one. The one we want to choose is send backward. So send backward. And that will make our green card show up. So now that we have our green slide, uh, we can demonstrate how the slide looks like. So if we go to slideshow from beginning, we click on it, it's going to collapse, and then our new card is going to expand. And once you do that, you basically have generated a flashcard. So now you can simply click on one of your tabs to the left of the screen. With the right hand mouse, you go ahead and put duplicate slide, and that's going to basically duplicate the slide with the animation already activated on there. And then you would just basically change the word from each of the cards to generate a new one. So let's go ahead and change this one to say compound. And it's gonna head this. So I sometimes can adjust the zoom to make the screen a little smaller. That way I have more space to work within. And then change the definition. A substance formed when two or more different chemical elements are bonded together. And now we can reposition our shape back over there. Make sure it's fitting the slide. And now if we were to go from beginning again, click, you can see that it's going to generate exactly like the slides. And that is our presentation for today. Thank you for listening. And now it's time for some question and answers.
Hello. Thank you, Veronica, for that very informative presentation. And I gotta say, some of those animals, they don't feel to me like nightmare animals, but everyone's mileage will vary on that topic. Let's see. So we have one question currently, and if folks out there, if you have questions, go ahead and drop them into the Q&A box, and we'll try to get to them today. The first question, is there no way to paint format the animation to the remaining 6 slides?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So I think the idea is that if there's the animation ones that you can add it to the other slides, uh, there may be a way to do that. There may be a way to copy and paste animations so that you don't have to do it over and over again for each slide. For the flashcards, I think. Yeah, there might be. I don't know if paint format is the way to do it, but yeah, there may be a way to do that. You can probably just copy and paste one slide or like the parts, copy and paste, and then just change the text. I think that probably will work. Let's see. Any other questions? I don't see any questions currently. Let's give it 1 second while we're waiting for more questions. Mm, I see. Oh, perfect. Uh, so for the recording, yes, indeed. I will send you a recording of the presentation by email. I'll send you a YouTube link probably the next couple of days. So it should be in your email pretty soon. If you don't receive it, then feel free to follow up and email me. But yeah, you should get it in the next few days. Somebody says, great presentation, Veronica. There you go. We appreciate your appreciation. Speaking of that, I do have a follow-up survey that I usually ask people to fill out. Our post-event survey is very short, but it is useful and meaningful to us in terms of improving future sessions. So I'm going to put a link in the chat. It should also come up when you close the Zoom window, but you can click on it, fill that out, give us your feedback. We had a question here. Where can we access PowerPoint if we don't own it? So PowerPoint is available on our library computers. So if you would like to use PowerPoint, you can come to the library and make a reservation for a computer, and yeah, you get 2 hours a day to use PowerPoint. Uh, Otherwise, you would have to purchase it from the Microsoft website. All right. Well, we're pretty much at time here. Once again, Veronica, thank you so much for that excellent presentation. Thanks for audience for being involved with your questions and your participation in the chat. And also thank you for just being here and learning. We will see you next time.